Andrew Tate just got humbled and defeated by Chase DeMoor, and we got to talk about this. So Andrew Tate finally made his boxing debut on none other than Misfits Mania, and it was bad. He got absolutely humbled and exposed by Chase DeMoor. By the way, welcome back to TommyBoxing, and Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing holiday. The lead up to this fight was pretty solid, more so by social media itself. For a while, Misfits wasn't doing much until the last few weeks leading up to the fight day. Misfits Mania overall, pretty solid card, except for the main event. Was not a big fan of it. It was very sloppy, very ruggish, very green, very novice, and just unappealing, truthfully. That's the best way I can say it. It was a very unappealing and disappointing main event. The co-main event, phenomenal. The fights under it, oh my goodness, absolute entertainment all the way up into the main event. That happens, especially in the crossover influencer scene. Not every fight's going to be perfect. We expected a lot from this main event. We expected Andrew, with his massive kickboxing experience, to come in and look decent. I'm not saying the best boxer in the world, but show that you were in combat sports prior. But he looked rough, very, very rough. The first round, nothing too crazy. Jab, pulled back out, jabbed, pulled back out. But that's all I really saw from him. What really actually annoyed me a lot was Andrew kept his chin so high in the air that everything I talked about in my main event prediction and analysis on Andrew and Chase was that everything Andrew learned as for boxing just went out the window. Is that because of his coach? Is that because of he's 40 years old and he only knew one combat sport really and dabbled in other ones? But when you're 40 and you haven't fought in 10 years and you only knew one way to fight, once that bell rings, I think that instinct goes out the window. I don't think a lot of people are saying that. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's how that saying goes. But I just expected a lot more of Andrew. Maybe that's on me. Maybe since it's such a different sport, that I shouldn't have had such high expectations, and that could have been on me. It just was not appealing. Chase, this is exactly what I expected from Chase. This was point on from Chase. I predicted pretty much everything accurate with Chase except for the win. I did not think he was going to win. I don't think anyone thought Chase was going to win, and credit to him. Upset of the year. He used what he knew and what he had against Tate, and it worked. Andrew was like, obviously I know what you're going to do. Obviously you're the bigger guy. But it looked like he didn't train for a bigger guy. Maybe the spar we saw was actually all he was getting was 5'9", 150-pound people. Like maybe he didn't have actual heavyweights. I didn't know what was going on in that camp, but it looked like he hasn't sparred a heavyweight before. Like that was a rough fight to watch. Jab move. I wish he would step in with that 2 afterwards, but again, every time we threw that 2, hands dropped, chin in the air. Chase was able to avoid most of it. It would land sometimes, but not super, super clean. Chase's super large frame and posturing where he just kind of sticks that jab out all in your face and stuff like that, he was able to deflect and use that as his defense. Even though Chase's chin was all the way up in the air like this, it still worked because when he's that big and that long, yeah, I guess you don't have to worry about it as much. And that's what I'm learning a lot more with Chase is he doesn't have to worry about his defense as much because he's such a freak of an athlete and human that he can get away with a lot more stuff. Chase put his weight on him when he also got gassed. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Chase was never gassed. He got gassed too, third, fourth round? But Andrew looked like he just was drowning for the past hour, and then out of nowhere it looked like he fell in the ocean and got up. He was like gasping for air in the second round. I was like, oh my goodness, I guess maybe we shouldn't be smoking cigars that often then. I don't know if I want to see Andrew back fighting. Maybe someone similar to his size instead of a heavyweight. I get he wanted to challenge himself and stuff like that. And it's obvious they were trying to set up the KSI and Andrew Tate fight, whatever you want to say. I think it was there. That's why I was like, oh, I'm the CEO now, blah, blah, blah. They underestimated Chase, or maybe even a miscalculation, because I assume it was going to be Andrew beats Chase or beats his opponent. Andrew has one more fight. Then KSI comes out and says, hey, I want a piece of that. Let's run it. 2026, and then KSI comes back to fighting. I assumed it was going to be something like that, but now it threw off that. So who knows if KSI will still fight him? Probably. A lot of people were saying, do the Tristan Tate fight next for him? Great storyline there. Could be a really big event too. Tristan avenging his brother, and I know Tristan is bigger, more of the natural heavyweight compared to Andrew, so that would be even fun fight. So yeah, I think this is great for Chase, not great for Andrew. Chase can be one of the big faces of Misfits, especially if KSI is is really not going to fight again. He has this huge opportunity here to kind of be the face of Misfits. We know Darren Taylor's been the face this past year. Chase made this upset. I can kind of see them building Chase in the right way. Give him another big name. Let him go at it. Really build Chase up. And, slowly but surely you have a big enough roster with enough names you built up really well to where you really don't need KSI to get those million pay-per-view buys. I really do hope that they make Chase a priority. I assume they're taking care of him regardless of what they've said online, or I don't know. And then as for the other fights, obviously Tony Ferguson and Warren Spencer, fight of the night, obviously best fight on the card without a doubt. I had my reactions up and they were doing really good. I'm pretty sure I had like 20 or 30,000 views on the YouTube one, but Rumble took it down everywhere. So Rumble's on my hit list, and their streams suck too, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but once the Dean fight started, it started lagging for me. I was really annoyed with that, so Rumble lock it in. If you're gonna try to copyright me and take my videos down, the least you can do is get a better router, okay? But even though Warren Spencer did lose, I think his stock rose. I think after that performance like that, and losing a tooth and getting rocked so many times and coming back as he was rocked, like he was like, oh god, and then threw something at Tony too, and like rocked Tony during that. I think his stock rose, and I think he's a great entertainer. He knows how to promote really well. I think he's going to do really great in this, and I'm honestly excited to see what he does next. And as for Tony, who the hell is he going to fight? Slim? Probably not. I was thinking maybe a Warren Spencer versus Salt Poppy fight. Then the winner of that gets the rematch. Gibb, but I highly doubt it, because if he didn't want to come out of retirement for this fight on a co-main event under Andrew Tate, stuff like that, I don't see he would come out of retirement at all. I think he's done with the scene unless, I don't know, Austin Broom fights Tony Ferguson and beats him, then he'll come out of retirement. So I don't know. And then we have the Dean the Great and Amato Vargas fight. Absolute blood feud. Amato came out swinging. He was coming out like a freight truck on diesel with crack in it. He said 6th gear only. He said, let me turn that NOS on. Let me do a line before I, get out there. Like, he just was on him like wet on water. He was not letting Dean breathe. In the first round, I honestly thought Dean won it. He's just a cleaner in my opinion. But, as the fight went on, he declined and he got drawn by Vargas. Fair play. Dean fell on his injured shoulder, and that's when I saw the big switch, because he got up and he just looked done. He looked pissed, and he just also looked mentally defeated. I don't know if that was because of Amato or if it was because he fell on his bad shoulder that just got fixed. So it could be a combination of both. I don't know, but that was definitely a mood switch from there. Honestly, it felt like Dean gave up during that fight once that happened, and then until like the last 20 seconds of the last round, we started angle changing and combinations. I'm like, where was that before? You weren't even trying that, like in the middle of the fight. So, and then we get Niraj going and Anthony Taylor, and oh my God, y'all in my comments who were riding for the Niraj, it was just a prediction. If you haven't yet, go check out the comments on my YouTube short. People swore like I hated Niraj. I predicted what was happening in that fight pretty accurately, but I just picked the wrong person to win. But y'all swore like I hated him, and y'all gotta chill too. You guys said some pretty racy stuff in there, so I need y'all to calm down. We ain't gonna do that here. You can calm down. Like I said in my prediction, I knew Niraj would have the better combinations, the angles and stuff like that, but I just thought Anthony's power would work. But it looked like AT was looking for just the one pot shot, and that was it. He wasn't really looking for anything else to throw. And honestly, AT was doing pretty solid with the 1-1-2. And he just kind of gave up on that, throwing power shots and just throwing one punch at a time and not really taking use of his combinations he had. First 2 rounds were ATs, but after that, pretty much Niraj's. Then we saw Nick Lamau and Ben Williams. Nick had a great first round, but honestly, after that, he just stopped throwing combination, threw a jab, and then would just launch himself back. And Ben looked solid. Good straight shots, didn't gas himself out, really controlled himself. But I think he controlled himself too much. I think he could have gotten Nick out of there, but I also, sitting on him more, I think he just wanted to get some time in the ring again. It's been a while since he fought. I know he just fought on a crypto card, but I mean on Misfits. He wanted to get some more ring time, get some more experience under his belt. Looks really solid, really great, so I'm excited to see what's next for Ben. I don't know what that will be, but he looks really, really solid. Kind of wish he got him out of there. I feel like he had the opportunity to. He just didn't want to pull the trigger. Then we had Amir Anderson, Joe Laws. Amir looked great as usual. I predicted that Banon. I said body shot KO. Joe looked like a bat out of hell, just running at him, power shots. I didn't really see too much of the other fights. I know Carla won, and they faced off with her, Pearl Gonzalez, so that could be the next fight. I don't know if Carla would go up or Pearl would come down. Overall, very, very solid card. Main event, like I said, really rough to see. I don't know if I want to see Andrew fight again. maybe if they maneuver it right or something, or I don't know. Everything can happen really fast, especially with Misfits. They know how to change a narrative. It's only been a couple days. Let's give it a few weeks, see what kind of comes out of all of this smoke. Once the smoke clears, we'll see what's next for Misfits. I know MF Pro is going to be a huge thing next year, and I'm very, very excited for that. Now that Misfits does have a partnership with Rumble, we can see a lot more controversial figures on there under Misfits Mania, of course. We can see Myron Gaines. We could even see Sneeko. I know he's back on YouTube, but he's still known as a controversial figure. I feel like there is a lot more possibilities to put a lot more of these Andrew Tate controversial-esque figures on Misfits without going through DAZN, because DAZN obviously was not going to allow this fight to happen on their platform. So I really do think this opens a really big door and big money and big numbers for Misfits to put on a lot of these obscure controversial figures, and I'm very excited to see it. I'm very excited to see what's next with Misfits, with Misfits Mania, and honestly MF Pro. It is what it is. Not every fight's going to be perfect. If you have 8 great fights and 1 bad fight, that's a great card. That's a great card nonetheless. So go ahead, let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen with Misfits. What's next for Chase DeMoor? I'm really not sure. Hopefully you guys know. Let's talk about it in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.